attended conferences. So some of my achievements are there, and my membership is also there. Senior member IEEE USA, Saudi Computer Society, and life member of Computer Society of India. I like that because being in the education, we have to be uh, having some professional body membership so that we can get updated with the new trends, knowledge, patterns, what is going on in our field. So this is what my introduction. So now I am taking this data warehousing and data mining subject, or what I can say that I can share my knowledge with my students. So let me start first the introductory part about the data warehousing and data mining. Now before this technology comes, data warehousing and data mining, uh, just you can see in the red line, data life cycle before the birth of pattern discovery technologies. You can have one picture also. Uh, Before these technologies, what happened when we go and purchase something, then there will be some data entries there, and that data is saved into some storage server, and then after some time they will take the backup and put into the storage, like the backup comes into the CDs, tapes, like that, and then it goes to the cabinet by date-wise or weekly or monthly, and finally it goes to the garbage before the technology comes. But now, as we have a lot of data is there in the garbage or in the cabinet, so what happened is that if we mine that data, or if we study the data that what we have, the old data, then we can have a so much knowledge from that data that what we have before. So the main reason behind this maintaining the databases nowadays is to enable human users to find the interesting patterns and trends in the databases. Which type of data is there, what is the trend of the data, and what might be the patterns of the data that what we can get from the old data. Because mining the old data is nothing but we are getting the gold from the old. What type of patterns that data we have, and how much we can benefit from that old data, so that we can know the trends of the customers or the people, and what might be the decisions that what we can take from the old data. So for this purpose, we have the data warehousing technology and the data mining technology. Okay. So data warehousing, now come to our topic, the main thing. Data warehousing is a technology that enables users to manually explore the data in search of patterns and trends. What is the pattern and what is the trend that we will see? But before going to it, just see the introductory part, the data warehouse and the data mining. So the trends and the patterns that what we have from the database, it comes from the data warehousing, and mining those data, that is data mining, is a technology that automate the process of pattern discovery. It means that what is the knowledge that what we can get from the data in the form of patterns. What type of data it is, what might be the knowledge we can discover from that data, from those patterns, so that we can make the decisions depending upon the pattern. So main thing from the data warehousing and data mining is that the higher level authority people can make the decisions that what they mine the data from the data warehouse. It means that this data warehousing and data mining is the main task that is useful for the higher level people for making the decisions. Ultimate aim for making the decisions, so that the productivity and the enhancements in business can achieve, and the profits that what we can gain from the old data. So this is what we have in the first slide, and if you move slowly, then we can see why we use all this and how we can get this. So many things are there. So here, why data mining? Why we use data mining? So nowadays we are getting a lot of data from so many sources. So how we can manage the data? So before going to it, you can see from where we can get the data. Nowadays the data is comes into the terabytes and petabytes from all type of sources. That's what we have. So the data is collected. We have some tools, some automated data collection tools, like from database systems, web-based and computerized society. So many things are there. So from where we can get the data, we can see here. From the business, if we see from the business point of view, then the most of the businesses nowadays run in web-based, electronic commerce, e-commerce, transactions, stock. So such type of all businesses produces a lot of data that we have to see. And from the science point of view, like remote sensing is there, bioinformatics is there, scientific simulation tools are there. So many big developments in the scientific technologies that is also producing a lot of data. And nowadays, if we see here, society and everyone has WhatsApp producing a lot of data. Everyone using YouTube, digital cameras, news. So many sources are there. That is also producing a lot of data. So we have a lot of data, but this data is having more and more terabytes, petabytes, but we are not getting the knowledge from that data. It means that we are in deep drowning in the data, but we are not getting any sufficient information which is helpful for us to make the good decisions. So we are drowning in data but starving for knowledge. Now, how we can get that knowledge? That is from the data mining. So data mining is nothing but going into the knowledge discovery databases, then using the new technologies, getting the patterns, what are the trends inside the data, then we can produce some fruitful information for the higher level people to make the decisions. This was somewhat the introduction about this. But before going to this data warehousing and data mining, I want to show you people how the evolution of the database technology comes since from 1950s, 60s till 2000. So here, if you see on your screen, in the year of 1960, there was a data collection. Okay, it is good. Some data curation is there in information management system and network DBMS. As time passes, in the 1970s, we got some data models like relational data model, DBMS comes into the picture. And again, as they are seeing some drawbacks, in the 1980s, we got the RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System, some advanced data models, some object-oriented tools are there. So many new development came, so it is somewhat helpful for maintaining the databases. And again, in the same year, we have some more and more data which is producing by scientific calculations, engineering, and spatial data. That spatial is nothing but the data which is related to the weather information scattered all over the globe. So how we can manage all type of data? And then again in the year 1990, the data mining comes into the picture, data warehousing comes, and again we have the new technologies like web-based databases. So all such type of data is there, but how we can utilize this data? And again in the 2000, more and more data is coming as the technology advancement there. We got the stream of data management and mining, data mining and its applications, the web technology. So many new technologies are arising. So we are having again more and more data, but how we can make this data useful? So here again and again we are getting more data and we are having no knowledge from that data. So we came into this data mining. So it means that the data mining is nothing but the knowledge discovery from the data. Knowledge discovery from the databases, KKD. Here we have some different terminologies for this purpose. So basically this data mining, the knowledge discovery from the database, is nothing but the extraction of interesting knowledge patterns. As you have seen in your monitor, the extraction of interesting, I mean non-trivial, implicit, previously unknown and potentially useful patterns or knowledge from a huge amount of data. So this is what we must get it from our databases. So here also we will see as time passes how we can mine the data. But before going to it, just you have to have the basic idea of it, and some alternative names is also given for this data mining, like knowledge discovery, mining in databases, KDD always use, and knowledge extraction, how we can extract the knowledge from the data. And the most important thing is that the data patterns, what are the patterns, what are the trends, and how we can analyze it. And sometime also we will say about the data archaeology, data dredging, information harvesting, business intelligence. Nowadays so many names are there, but basically aim is to data mine. So here in everything is data mining, we have to see how we can make the data useful with the help of the technologies from the data warehousing. So now if we go to the other slide, here we have some pictorial representation of how we can discover the knowledge from the databases. If you start from the bottom left hand side till the right hand side, the topmost, we have different stages, we have different processes, we have to go through all these stages so that we can get some good productive information, productive knowledge, so that the higher authority people can easily make the decision. So first we start from the databases. So we have different terminologies are there that we will see in future classes also, what each and every terminology works, so that we can have some good meaningful result oriented data from our database. Data cleaning is there from the data warehouse, then we have to select which type of data we need, then what type of knowledge we should gain, then how to mine it, then we will get our required desired result, that our patterns, and then finally we can get the knowledge from the database and we can make the decision. If you see here in the data mining process, first data is there in the cabinet or in the files or in the data sources, that what we have databases, flat files, some news wires, so many things are there that have the data. So from that data, how we can produce the meaningful results. So all this data is there in the data warehouse, and how we can process this data. So here we have so many technologies are there, like machine learning, and statistics is also very helpful for searching over required information, searching over patterns, queries, that what we need. Then as soon as we got some information, the analysts or the people who are working on the data, data engineers, data analysts, they will see how we can get the good, meaningful, standard results from our machine learning data is there. So they will analyze the data that what we have in our databases. Then they will find some results, that reports are there. Then those reports we have to interpret with the help of the new data mining technologies. We have so many things are there nowadays. Tableau is there, and before this Weka tool is there. So many SPSS is there, statistical package for social sciences is there. So for all these softwares which are helpful for the user to analyze the data and then give one result so that the higher level people can easily make the decisions depending upon their requirements. And finally, we will take some action on those findings which we are getting from the software. So here you see some process is there. So as soon as the analyst reviews all the outputs and then when they put into the software will generate the results so that the higher authority people, executives can easily take the decision. So here we have some terminologies with the help of some pictorial representation, how the data warehouse till data mine. So when we have the data here in the data warehouse, we select some data so that we can make use of the old data. We transform the data into that what we need, the mining process. Then we get some information from it. And that information, if we assemble at one place or if we collect at one place so that we can get one pattern. So we can easily see the pattern recognition here. So I hope you are following or not this picture.
Yeah, yes, Kadir, can you give some examples
Yes. Now
so that
here,
I
uh,
understand better?
yes. What is the pattern and what is the trend? Uh, if you see, whenever we are going to purchase some stationery, like if I purchase a pencil, then I need a sharpener for it. Then got the point, pencil and then a sharpener, and then I need a eraser also, and then definitely I need a notebook. So you see all this data that what I have, a pencil, a sharpener, a eraser. So all this will become one pattern for me so that the people who are purchasing pencil definitely they will go for the sharpener and the eraser. So there is a strong association between these elements, these items. One example that what we can see. So what I can make the distinction here is that the people who are purchasing pencil definitely they will go for the sharpener and then eraser and then notebook like that. So I can have one decision that I can make this pattern and the trend of the people what we have. So the other example that what I can see is that if I go to the any supermarket and we can see this example that some people they will purchase almost milk and bread and some eggs and sugar. So when I see my old data, when I am checking the invoices, what I found is that so many people they are taking milk, bread, sugar, milk, bread, eggs, milk, bread, banana, milk, bread, some other thing like this. So what I am seeing here is that the people who are purchasing milk, they are going for bread also. So what I think is that there is a strong relationship between the milk and the bread. So what I can make the decision is that I should place milk with bread nearby so that the people who are going to take the milk, they will take the bread as well and they will go immediately out of the market mart so that the time saves and I can make the decision about this element which are having a strong relationship in between. So like that, this is what the patterns are there. By seeing the trend, by seeing the mind of the people, I can make the patterns and then I can arrange it. So ultimately what I can make the decision from my data mining is that the people who are taking the frequent items I can arrange in my store so that the people also can save the time and my store is also somewhat space that what I have I can arrange in a small place. I can put the most important things that what needed by the people. Not like that I'm putting milk at one side, bread at one side, so that the people searching in the store, that is a big problem. So by seeing the old data, I can make the decisions depending upon the trend of the people and the pattern that what I have. Then I can do my decision here that I should keep these things aside. I mean side by side, so that there is a time saving for the people as well as for me also. And one more example that what we can see is that depending upon the demand, like if we have one I mean famous sweet shop that at the time of Deepavali, if they make some 100 kgs sweet, and again the people demand is there. So what I can make the decision by seeing the old data, even though I have produced 100 kilograms of sweets, but again some 50 kgs demand is there. So what I make the decision here is that again I have to produce some 150 kilograms of sweet so that I can sell it and make the profit. So by seeing the old data, I can make the decision here by seeing that the people's trend is that they will come and purchase the sweet. So I can make one pattern that I should have more and more sweets compared to the last year. Like that we can make the decision. This is what with the help of the data mining. But here you see one more example. This is an iterative and interactive process. What we can see here in this diagram. There the raw data is there, then we have the target data and the pre-process. So how this take place? With the help of the data pre-processing, the data that's what we have, how we can make it pre-process so that we can have some good patterns, we can produce some good pattern recognition, and then we can make the results, interpreting the result. Then we have the knowledge that okay, this type of data is producing this type of knowledge. Like that we have so many examples here. If you see here the next example, we are generating a lot of data here, but with the help of the data mining we can segregating. You see the trends, you see the patterns different are there, then I can make the decision. Similarly, one more example is here, how we can make the decisions from the data, from data, information, knowledge and the wisdom. This is what the hierarchy we are following, from the information till making the decision. And finally here one more example is there. This is what we have the arrangement. All is not in the order, but with the help of the data mining we can make some good order so that it can be easily recognizable. So this was the introduction about the data warehousing and the data mining.
Guys,
And
if you have any questions, you can ask.
I have one question, like what's this difference between data mining and the forecasting?
data mining and
Forecasting.
yes, this was the prediction. What is the trend of the people and what are the patterns we have? By seeing those patterns, we can predict, forecast that we have to make this decision and we have to follow the decision. It means that by seeing the old data, we can predict that this might be the fruitful for the organization. This might be the giving good business to the organization. I have given so many examples like pencil rubber, sharpener, milk bread, and even sweets of the festivals. This is what by seeing the old data, we can predict, we can forecast how we can make the fruitful results with the help of the old data and how we can enhance the business, how we can make the profit with the help of old data, that what we mine from the data warehouse. Got the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, clear.
Clear? So this is what we have. Now, who are the people which are working with our this databases? So data source normally is there in the files, web documents, scientific experiments, database system, RDBMS. papers, flat files, all this. And then we need to pre-process this data or integrate this data, and we have to load this data into the data warehouses. And then the data exploration and data mining is done with the help of this analyst people. They will use the different types of statistical packages, statistical software, query producing, report generations. All this we can explore the data by the, they are the one who are data analysts who work on this. They will use our data and they analyze the data. Then with the help of different types of tools, they will get the visualization of the data. The pictorial representation of the data or the beautiful graphics, so that the picture
Here comes
tells.
our role, guys. That
Yes,
using Tableau.
yes, Tableau or SPSS or
Pyramid
Weka tool.
diagram, the second layer we will involve by using reporting tools.
Yes, reporting, storing, all the data exploration. And as soon as we visualize one good, beautiful picture with the help of our same software, uh, because a picture says 1,000 words, we know it very well. A picture tells 1,000 words, so it is very helpful for the higher level executive people or managers for making the decision. So end users are the high level people because they don't have time to analyze all this, to go through in these deep. Just they will see our picture, our visualization, then they will go and make the decision that what we produce, the beautiful pictures. So this is what the hierarchy you have to see. And now, one more important thing here is that data mining is not only one work. It's a collection of different multiple disciplines which are helping us for making the decision. You can see here, first of all, we have the, if you start from the right hand side, first we need the statistics. What is statistics? We have to know the different results, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, covariance, and our analysis of variance. So many things are there for visualization of our good data. And then we have some different algorithms, and we have to give our data to those algorithms so that we can get some good fruitful results. As the time passes, or in the near future classes, we will see different algorithms are here helping the user or the data miners so that they can make use of the good data and they can have some good fruitful results. So we have so many algorithms that also we have to see. Those algorithms will generate the patterns, and depending upon the patterns, we can see what is the trend of the people and they can make the decision. So here we have the statistics, visualization, different disciplines, algorithms, pattern recognition, and then machine learning, and ultimately the database technology that is helping all this. So data mining is not only one work, it is the collection of different things and giving one fruitful result. This is what we have the final result from the data mining. Now if you see here, go to the data warehouse. What is data warehouse? We have seen here all this data mining, but this data is coming from data warehouse. So what is data warehouse? That also we have to see. Okay, everyone is with me?
Yes, sir.
Now come to the data warehouse. Everyone knows very well warehouse. Warehouse is nothing but a big place dumping so many things, and depending upon the requirement, we have to go and take our required things from the warehouse. Now what is data warehouse? So the most important thing here, that what we have here in the data warehouse is that if you see the definition, the second point, second dot, from the W.H. Inman, in the year 1992, W.H. Inman, the man behind this data warehouse, what he defined is that a data warehouse is a subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, and non-volatile collection of data in support of management's decision making process. Okay, everybody. Four things are very important in data warehouse. We will see in detail all this. So the first thing is that the data should be subject oriented. It means that you should get some knowledge, you should get some subject from that data that what we have in the data warehouse, and should be integrated. It means that the collection of the different databases, RDBMS, it should be integrated very well so that we can fetch the data. You know the fetch? We can get the data from the different RDBMS, and should be time variant. What is my time variant? It means that the data is there in the data warehouse is the old data, and as soon as new data is coming, we have to update it. We will see in OLTP and OLAP what is online transaction processing and what is online analytical processing in the coming within 5-10 minutes. So the data warehouse is nothing but the subject oriented, integrated, time variant, and a non-volatile collection of data. What is by non-volatile? It means that there should not be change in the data, and the data is always safe. Is what the non-erasable we can say. So by seeing is that the definition, the data warehouse should have these characteristics, should have these basic principles for data warehouse. The data warehouse should be subject oriented, integrated, time variant, and non-volatile collection of data in support of management's decision making process. It means that all these should help for data mining, and ultimately the higher level people, the management, they can make a good decision that what they mine the data from the data warehouse. Okay, everybody?
Yes.
This is the interview question that what are the main things behind the data warehouse. Now, if you see, if you go to the each and every part of this data warehouse definition, subject oriented, there should be meaningful information for this, organized around major subjects such as customer, product, sales. The data should be accurate. The data should be related to one particular subject. Like we have here customer, product, sales. And the focusing on the modeling and analysis of the data for decision makers. By seeing this data, the analysis of the data or the analyst, they can make the decision by that what we have the different models. So that also we'll discuss. So the data should be meaningful. It means that customer, product, sales is there. So the subject should be clear that this data is related to these particular areas only. So provide a simple and concise view around particular subject. The third point, issued by excluding data that are not useful in the decision support process. It means that whatever the decision taking from the high level people, it should to support only the related thing. It should exclude, it should remove the unnecessary material from the data warehouse, from the data that we don't want. So it should be clear what the subject is there, that related data should be there. Okay. Now come the second one, integrated. What am I integrated? Mixture of something. Now here we have so many type of data, like we have heterogeneous type of data. What is the heterogeneous? Not the homogeneous. We have different types of data, audio, video, characters, numeric, alphanumeric, so many types of data we are generating daily. So the data should be integrated from all the sources. And how we can get the data into the data warehouse? From relational databases, flat files, online transaction records. This is what is there. And data cleaning and data integration techniques are applied. So How we can integrate the data? With the help of the data cleaning. We will see in near classes, in near future classes, what is data cleaning, what is data integration, and how we can apply to the data so that we can get some integrated data, not in the scattered form, not in the different form. We will get the clean data so that we can put into the data warehouse, and when we mine the data, we will get the data in a required sufficient way so that we can make some good decisions. We can apply to the data for our software, and the final result that is helpful for the higher level management to make the decisions. So this is a very important stage, data integration, and how we can integrate the data. So it comes under the data warehouse. Like here you can see the example of hotel, price, currency, tax, whether the people coming to the hotel, they have breakfast is there or not. So many things we have to collect, and we have to store into the database, and we can work on this data, and we have so many, giving facilities to the customer so that they can come to the hotel. And again, the higher level people, by seeing the whole data from the data warehouse, when they mine the data, they will make the good decision. So this is what is the integration into the data warehouse is very important. And time variant, the next thing. So the time variant is nothing but when we are putting the data into the data warehouse, it is somewhat old data, not the transactional data. This data warehouse data is mainly used for analyzing purpose. By analyzing this data, we can make some results. With the help of those results, we mine the data, and then we can take the decision. So this data is not the current data, not the transactional data. This is for the analysis purpose. So this data we have into the data warehouse is somewhat old. So here is the time horizon for the data warehouse is significantly longer than that of operational system. It means that the data that what we have in the transactional process, it will not come. Somewhat old data will store into the data warehouse. So here data warehouse provide information from a historical perspective, like old data, like 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 years, like that. That data we will study, and we will perform some decisions on those studies. So this is what the time variant, not the current data is there. So this is what the data is there, which is not the current data, we have to keep in mind. It means that data warehouse has the old data. So the time is also a very important factor here. How much time it was before stored into the data warehouse, and depending upon that time also, we can make the decision that the time is playing a very important role here. So by seeing that transactions, we can make some decisions. And finally, it should be non-volatile. It means that the data that is there in the data warehouse should be kept safe. It should not be get updated. It should not be any change into the database. The data is there at a particular moment of time. When you shift the data, when you transform the data into the data warehouse, it should be same, unless and until any new time data is inserted into the data warehouse, old data should be there. So the data warehouse should have a non-volatile data. The data is safe, it should be there unless and until any new data comes and updated. So the physically separate store of data transformed from the operational environment. It means that the data comes from the operational environment, always should be there unless and until any new changes is there. So here we have the data, because analysts always need the old data and they want to analyze it. So there should not be change in the old data. So one of the characteristics of data warehouse is that it should be non-volatile. So we have the fourth thing, very important: subject oriented and integrated and time variant, and the final one is the non-volatile. So this is the characteristics of the data warehouse. Any doubt?
No.
Okay, here we have some modern data warehouse picture, how we are getting the data, how we are processing it, and then ultimately how we are getting the result. So this is what picture we have. We have some CSV files, that comma separated value file, log file, flat file, and some RDBMs is also there. And then it goes on NoSQL is also here, application database application, social media. So many things is producing the data nowadays. And then it goes to the data science algorithm. Then we are getting at the right hand side the complete information in the data warehouse, and then from the data warehouse the analytics, the analysis, the people who are working on the data, the analysts, the data engineers, they will took the data from the data warehouse and they will use some reporting tools like what we have, Tableau or Weka tool or SPSS. Then they will get the final one good result, that what from data warehouse. Here you see this picture. We have our tool. What will be the tool? Getting a lot of data into it, and we are working on the data, and finally we are getting the results in good pictorial visualization forms. I hope everyone can see it, right?
Yeah, yes.
So this is what one picture is. We are getting the mobile data also is there. So data from the web-based application, data from our personal systems, desktops, laptops. So many things are there which are generating data, and finally we are getting this result. And now here the most important thing, that what I can say here is that the data warehouse architecture, the complete picture, the overview. So how the data is going to be placed in the operational support system. We have different sales, e-commerce, point of sales, marketing, file, so many things is there. This data is going to be integration area, that is with the help of the ETL process, extraction, transformation, loading process. This comes into the staging area here, and then when this process completely works, it goes to the data warehouse. Extraction, transformation, loading, we will see in the near future classes how it is helpful for putting the data into the data warehouse. And finally, with the help of our tools, what the fruitful results we can get from our data warehouse. Here at the right hand side you have the data mart, the reports generation, the final result from our data warehouse. So this was the picture, data warehouse architecture, how it is there. And now everybody clear this picture, how we are getting the data, how we are transforming it and putting into the data warehouse. And again, our analysts, they will study all the data warehouse, that's what they need, with the help of the different tools, and they will generate this result which is there at the right hand side. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the most important part of this data warehousing and data mining, difference between online transaction processing OLTP and online analytical processing OLAP. It's very important how we are getting the data and how we are using this with the help of different things. So here we have some differences are there, so we have to keep in mind. So we will see one by one. In the OLTP, online transaction processing, it is an operational processing system. What is an operational processing system? Currently it is working. Operation, what is the operation is going on? It is there in the OLTP. If you see in the right hand side, analytical processing OLAP, it is an informational processing system. It gives the information, not any transaction. It gives only, this is the information part of your information you have. Operational processing, informational processing. Okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Now, come to the second
Yeah,
point.
that's good.
Yes? Second point, it performs day-to-day operations. Yes, day-to-day operations. What are the transactions is going on daily? It will see those transactions only. But here in the analytical processing, it is the old one. So it performs long-term operations. The data that what they have, they will perform the operation on it, not the day-to-day. The third point, the OLTP, it stores current data. Current data. Right now, what the transaction is going on at the moment of time, it is there. Whereas in the OLAP, right hand side, third point, it stores derived, summarized, archived data, the old data, not the current one. Because we are using the old data for analysis purpose, not for any transaction purpose. Because we are analyzing the data for making the decisions. We are not performing any operation, any calculation on this. Everybody clear?
Yeah, yes, correct.
Number 4, the data is predictive and repetitive in nature. What am I this? It means that when we are going to perform any transaction in the bank, always we deposit, we withdraw the amount, the same process. Whereas here in the analytical processing, the data is ad hoc as well as random in nature. They have the different type of data. They have to work, they have to analyze the data. So that work on the data may be changed, not the repetitive process. Okay. Now come to the fifth point, OLTP. It has a relatively large number of users because online transaction is going on 24/7 if you are checking online, or if you go to the bank, always the same. So many customers, they are coming to the bank and they are performing their operations. But whereas in the analytical part, it has relatively small number of users because old data nobody wants, only for the purpose of analysis process. Less users are there compared to the OLTP. Okay, everybody? Now, the sixth point is very important point that we have to work on it. It has flat relational database, OLTP. It uses only the transactional data that what we have. Like if anybody want to go to the bank and perform some operations, withdrawing or depositing amount, it will use those databases only. But whereas for the analytical process, they need different databases, multi-dimensional databases. So OLAP has multi-dimensional databases. We will see in detail what is multi-dimensional databases, how we can work on this in the near classes, near future classes. We will see all this. So the difference here is that the OLTP uses little databases, not the more and more. Whereas in the OLAP, we need a lot of databases because we have to analyze the data. So we need the data from the different sources that comes under multi-dimensional database. Okay, the seventh point. In OLTP, the size of the database ranges from 100 MB to 1 GB because daily transaction is going on. So we need only particular databases, not the big databases. If I'm depositing amount, I need that database only. If I'm withdrawing amount, I need that database only. Whereas in the OLAP process, we need a lot of data, multi-dimensional database we need, and data is in the warehouse. So the size of the databases in the OLAP is from 100 GB to 1 TB. This is what the difference is. So 8th point here is very important. It can access a small number of records. Okay, because in OLTP we need a particular record at a particular moment of time. Okay, everybody?
Yeah, okay, correct.
But whereas in the at the right hand side, in the analytical process, In the analytical part, we need a large number of records from the databases. If we are getting a good sufficient large number of records, we can analyze very well and we can make very good report, so that the higher level people, management executives, they can make a good decisions on it. So OLAP needs a large number of records. 8 point. Now come to the next 9 point. In the OLTP, the existence of aggregate and derived form of data is very rare. So here the data which is collectively is there, it's very rare case. We don't want all the data at once. We need a particular data at a particular moment of time. We don't want all the type of transactions. We don't want all the data in the OLTP. Whereas in the OLAP, we need a very common data which is available for making a good decision. So we need a existence of aggregate and derived form of data is very common here in the analytical process. The 10th point, it provides a quick response time. Quick response time means as soon as we commit the process, as soon as we commit any transaction, the time that this transaction happens, the result will come. It gives a very quick response in time. Whereas in the OLAP, it is a very slow response time because we have to analyze the data, then we have to study it, then we have to give it to the technology, then we will get some fruitful result. So the response time is somewhat slow in the analytical processing. Whereas in the transactional processing, immediate result will come. This was the difference here. And now the 11th point, that what we have in OLTP, it has a high access frequency because so many people are accessing it, coming daily 24/7. Online transaction is there, or in the banking sector also always is busy. High access frequency is there. Whereas in the analytical part, it's very little, maybe medium to low access is there. This is what we have. The 12th point, it has large number of joins. What do you mean by this one? It means that we have to access a different types of databases at a particular moment of time with the help of the joins that what we have in our technology, in our database DBS work. So 32 joins we can make at a time. So it has large number of joins because when one transaction takes place, it has to hit so many databases, so many data files for updating. Everybody clear? Joins.
Yeah.
So whereas in the analytical processing, we have the old data and we have to analyze it. We don't want so many databases to come at one time like that. So it has a small number of joins in analytical processing. Number 13, it has a few number of indexes for data searching. Yes, this is very important. For searching of the data in the transaction processing, for searching of the data in the transaction processing, we should have the indexes should be perfect, and within a less time of period we will get our data. So we have the indexes and we have the data. It's very, few is there and we will get our data very fast. Whereas in the analytical processes, we have so many indexes because we have to search so many different types of databases. So it has many number of indexes for data searching. The 14th point, it gives priority to high availability and high performance features. This is very important because high availability always available and high performance should be there, because when a particular moment of time we are performing any transaction, it should be available. If there is a delay or some discrepancy is there or some server down or some problem is there, then the whole transaction will be collapsed. So it should be always available, always on, as we have this facility. So this online transaction processing should be highly available and high performance features must be there. So here we have different facilities from the SQL Server Management Studio, that log shipping, mirroring, and this always on, and this is what we have, always the backup ready made there. So there should not be disconnection from the main servers. So it should be always available. Whereas in the analytical process, it is provided to high flexibility and end user autonomy only. It means that the data should be there in the analytical process. It is there, we can use at any time. So they give the higher priority for the end user autonomy only, not as in the transaction processing. So the 15th point is here. It has an application-oriented database design. Yes, this is very important. Application, that what we are going to use with the help of the database, it is an application-oriented. What a particular work is going on, it depends upon that application. Whereas in the right-hand side, it has a subject-oriented database design. It works on a particular subject. Subject should be clear, as we have seen there. Subject should be clear, and we can get the data for a particular subject so that we can make the decision on it. So the transaction processing is nothing but application oriented, and the analytical processing is nothing but a subject oriented database design. And the 16th point is here. Who are the users?
Yes, sorry
of
to
this
interrupt
OLTP?
you, Khalid.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think we can park it here because it's getting late. We can circle back in next class. The continuation.
We can, no problem. So this is what the difference.
What do you think, guys?
Who are the users of this online transaction?
Yeah, here I have one question here.
Yes,
so
sir, please.
when a company decides what to go, like whether it should go for a OLTP or a OLAP systems?
It depends upon the requirements. If the company is a 24/7 running, online transaction is going on always, then you should use this online transaction processing. Whereas if the company want to enhance their products, enhance their business, then they have to go for analyzing the old transactions, old businesses, old data, then they will analyze it. So depending upon the nature of the company, depending upon the requirement, they have to use it. If they are running 24/7, they should go for the OLTP. If they have to make some decisions, so they have to go for the OLAP, analyzing the part. Got it?
Yeah.
So the 16th point is very important. Who are the users? The users of OLTP system includes DBA, that's what we have, the clerks, database professionals, etc. Whereas in the OLAP, the users of the OLAP includes managers, business executives, the higher level people, all this is what. And the 17th point is what we have, best suitable for performing short transactions. And here the complex and sophisticated query analysis. And the OLTP performs only read, delete, and update operations. This is very important, everybody. Online transaction, reading, deleting, updating operations. Whereas in the analytical part, only they have to read the data from the databases. So it's only a read operation. Clear? And the last 2 points are there. The data is highly detailed form here. The data is an integrated form here. Very important, this point. And the data should be normalized. That we will see normalization in the near classes. In OLTP, the data should be normalized. Normalization is there. It's a very good form of normalizing databases. We will see near classes. So OLTP should have the normalized DBMS, whereas OLAP, it is denormalized DBMS in which duplication of data exists. So we will see what is this normalization, denormalization detail in the coming near future classes. So this is what the difference.
Yeah, we are having different normalization forms. So
yes,
it will be again one more class.
Yes, yes. First normal form, second normal form, boxcar normal form, third normal form, like that we have. How we can reduce the redundancy in our databases, inconsistency in the database. So many things are there that we have to remove. So that is very helpful for making a one good database. Removing the duplication, all this. That we will see in near future classes. Any doubt till this point? Anybody?
Yeah, we are clear, Kadir. I think it's better if you can share this PPT in that Skype chat so that everyone can access it.
Okay, okay, okay. So I will share this.
Yeah, I can help you on that. Guys, if
Yes,
you
sir.
have any other question, you can ask, or else we can wind up.
We are
Okay
good.
then. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Good night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, one and all.